Thank you for joining us in our Vacation Bible School this year. This year we have a great series of videos for you to watch on the man Noah from Genesis chapter 6 and the flood and the things that we can learn from the flood. Each of you has a bag that's been sent to you or you've picked it up that has all the materials you need to participate in this video. We have story time, puppets, crafts, application, and in your bag also Vacation Bible School snacks. And we know that you will enjoy this lesson today as you go through it with the teachers. First, we're going to have a puppet skit with the Apologetics Press Force. And so listen and enjoy this skit as they teach us about the man Noah.
And I'll get the team on it. Well, it looks like we have guests tonight. Let me be the first to welcome you to the headquarters of the APF. APF stands for Apologetics Press Force, and it is our job to investigate and determine the truth about some of the most important and impactful events that are recorded in the Bible. I'm known as the director, and I'm in charge of leading an elite team force of gifted people in search of the truth. In fact, I just received a call about a very important mission, and since you're all here, how would you like to help us with it this week? That's great. We can always use some new recruits here at the APF. Before we get started with this mission, let me bring in the team so that I can give you the details of this week's assignment. I need everyone to report to the mission room immediately. Well, I see everyone's made it, so let's get started. As you can see, we have some new recruits with us tonight. So why don't we begin with some introductions? Kids, this is Agent Lionheart. Agent Lionheart is one of our very best field agents, and he has never failed a mission. He will go anywhere or do whatever is required and has absolutely no fear. He is equipped with the latest body armor, spy tech, and communications equipment, but his greatest asset is his courage, which is how he got his code name, Lionheart. Agent Lionheart, say hello to our new recruits.
Hi, kids. Glad you're here. I'm excited to find out more about our mission this week. So I hope you're ready for a challenge. I'm sure it's going to be incredible.
This is Doc. Doc has degrees in chemical engineering, microbiology, and biblical studies. He is our scientist, our archaeologist, and our geologist. He has studied all over the world and is one of the top scientists in the field. If there is a question to be answered, Doc is usually the one that we ask. Doc has a photographic memory, and since he has extensive vocabulary, he sometimes forgets that other people might not always understand what he's saying. Doc, say hello to the kids.
Hello, children! It's fortuitous that you've decided to cast your lot with us during this Impotute campaign. I would like to offer my preemptive gratitude for your efforts over the forthcoming days and put myself at your plenary disposal.
What did he say? Anybody understand that?
Oh, I forgot. What I meant to say was, it's a good thing that you're here to help us for this important mission. Thank you. If you need me, let me know.
There you go, much better.
Moving on, kids, this is Quip and Quiver. Quip and Quiver are our lab rats, which stands for Learning About the Bible, Recon, Acquisition, and Tech Squad. It's a fancy way of saying that they make cool stuff for us. They created and designed my mechanical eye, which is connected to everything that the team sees and hears. They have always provided us with everything that we have ever needed to complete our mission in the past. Say hello to the kids, Quip and Quiver.
Hi kids, we're super excited that you're here. Do you want to hear a joke?
Again with the jokes? No, they do not want to hear a joke. They're here to help us with our mission.
Yeah, but every good mission should start with a good joke, right kids? So, why did the Clydesdale give the Shetland pony a glass of water? Because it was a little hoarse.
That was awful. These kids have probably never even heard of a Clydesdale or a Shetland pony.
Oh, that was for the adults. This one is for the kids. There were 2 muffins in the oven, and one of them said to the other, "Phew, it's getting hot in here, or is that just me?" Then the other muffin said, "Ah, a talking muffin!"
That one was just plain bad.
Oh, it wasn't plain, it was blueberry. And besides, everyone likes muffin jokes.
First of all, Blueberry? Really? Secondly, no, they don't. Thirdly, how many muffin jokes could there be?
Oh, there's lots.
Okay, never mind. We can hear more muffin jokes later. Right now, we need to remember why we're here and get started with our mission. The mission this week is to investigate the truth behind the Bible's account of the Great Flood. As you know, the Bible spends 4 chapters in the book of Genesis giving us some of the details of the flood. But we have discovered that many are saying that this flood never actually happened. They are claiming that the science does not support the claims of the Bible and that this is nothing more than a mere story. Our mission is to use all of our resources to investigate different aspects of the Great Flood. During the next 2 days, we're going to investigate the man Noah and the ark. We've been able to gather a significant amount of information on the world that Noah lived in before the flood, and we owe a debt of gratitude to all of our agents. Quiver, do you think you can give us a quick rundown of what we've learned so far?
Yes, sir.
Well, it started way back before history.
God made everything that the eye could see.
It was good.
Very good.
Life was oh so sweet until a serpent walked into the...
Garden of Eden.
He was so tempted and Adam gave in.
Then the world faced all the consequences of sin.
Later, Cain and Abel were worshiping God.
But Cain's sacrifice was just a little bit odd.
He got ill,
Depressed.
irritated with stress.
And when he killed his own brother,
Man.
A really big mess.
His descendants got worse
took a spiritual dive.
until one called Lamech went and took.
2 wives.
Then Adam and Eve had another son.
Seth.
Then Enoch walked with God and he didn't see.
Death.
You got Mahalo, Methuselah, a man named...
Jared.
And then a bunch of people and some stuff about.
Marriage.
After that, the whole world became...
Stone cold evil.
But one man still stood out from all other people.
His name was Noah. He was part of God's plan.
Which brings us tonight when we study.
The man.
Entertaining as always, gentlemen. Agent Lionheart, could you translate for those who don't speak rap?
Absolutely, sir. What Quip and Quiver were trying to say was that God made everything very good, but when sin entered the world through Adam and Eve's decision to disobey God, everything changed. It put mankind on a path that would ultimately lead them to almost complete spiritual ruin. In fact, we discovered through Bible study that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and every intent of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. Genesis 6, verse 5.
Thank you, Agent Lionheart. This is essentially what the world was like during the days of Noah before the Great Flood. But we also discussed the physical nature of Noah. Doc, I know that you went through some modifications in order to connect the computer to your photographic memory. Is there any way that you could connect it to the projector and show the kids some of the things that we've discovered?
Yes, sir. Give me just a moment. Fire up the computer, please. Everyone look behind. As you can see, we ascertained that the current placement of our continents seems to indicate that they were all once joined together, much like a gigantic puzzle. Based on what we see in Genesis 1:9, where God said, "Let the waters under the heavens be gathered into one place, and let the dry land appear," we can reasonably assume that the land may have also been in one place. We can also assume, based on what we have read in Genesis 7:11, that the earth underwent significant changes during the flood, and that many of our current mountain ranges were likely formed during the flood as well. Cue the lights.
Sir, if we're finished summarizing what we've learned so far, I wonder, If we could find out a bit more about tonight's assignment.
I wholeheartedly agree, Agent Lionheart. In fact, I believe we might be poised to discover a rare anomaly in the history of human existence, and I, for one, am positively discomposed at the prospect of further investigation on this subject.
I think that means he's excited. Either that or he's like decomposing.
I don't smell anything. I think he's excited.
If you two can stop whispering long enough to pay attention, I have received a directive from headquarters that tonight's assignment is to study the man who stood out in the midst of this entirely wicked generation that we've just heard about. Your mission is to find out what the Bible says about this man and try to dig as deep as possible to discover what caused him to find grace in the eyes of the Lord. As we see in Genesis 6:8, what made him so special? Why did God choose him? Agent Lionheart, I have a feeling we're going to be relying heavily on you over the next couple of nights, so I want you to sit this one out.
Yes, sir. I might take the opportunity to do some more research on the flood and prepare for any upcoming assignments.
Very good. Quip, Quiver, I need you to stay behind after we're dismissed.
Oh boy.
Kids, team, are you ready for tonight's mission? Let's get going.
Hey guys, I'm so glad you could come and join us today to talk about one of my favorite Bible class characters, Noah. I love learning about Noah and the Ark in Sunday school class when I was growing up. One of the great things about Bible characters is that you are never too old to learn something new about them. Tonight, we are really going to get to know Noah. Who was Noah? What was he like? Is Noah someone you would want as a friend? In order to understand Noah, we have to know a little bit about what was going on during the time that Noah lived. The earth was so evil and corrupt that God regretted creating it and wanted to destroy mankind. The Bible says in Genesis 6:8 that in the midst of this corrupt population, Noah found grace in the eyes of the Lord. Noah loved and served the Lord with his whole heart. In Genesis 6:9, the Bible says that Noah was a just man. That means that he treated everybody the right way. He was fair and honest in how he dealt with people. It also says in the same scripture that he was perfect in his generation. Now, this doesn't mean he was perfect or sinless, but his character was good in the eyes of God. Noah was obedient. Genesis 6:22 says, Noah did all that God commanded him. We know that God told Noah to build the ark, 450 feet long, 75 feet wide, and 45 feet tall. That's as long as 1.5 football fields and half as wide. It's also as tall as a 3-story building. Can you imagine how physically strong that Noah must have been to build a boat of that size? And God also told him to build it out of gopher wood. So he had to locate enough wood, chop trees down, cut them to the shape and size he needed, and transport the wood to where the ark was being built. He then had to physically move and lift and position all of these pieces of wood together to build the ark. I don't know about you, but I'm getting tired just thinking about it. As a little boy, I remember learning that Noah was over 500 years old when he started to build the ark. Now that's pretty old. I imagined Noah looking something like this. But now knowing how physically demanding it was to build the ark, I'm thinking he had to look something like this. You know, Noah wasn't just the muscle behind building the ark, but he was also the brains. Although God gave Noah the measurements and dimensions, building the ark would require a lot of mental effort. There was a lot of math involved in engineering and physics. Noah's mental capacity was a gift from God, and he used it to obey God. Can you imagine how emotionally exhausting it must have been to build the ark? How hard would it be to know that you have to convince everyone that if they didn't obey God, that they would die. I bet that he wasn't a very popular guy. Don't you know that every time Noah preached to the people about the coming flood, they thought that he was crazy? I wonder if Noah ever woke up in the morning and thought, I just can't do it another day. As far as we know, he didn't. He remained faithful. Noah never lost heart. He kept right on working and obeying God. God chose Noah to save mankind and repopulate the earth. No wonder Noah is mentioned in the Hall of Faith in Hebrews 11. He certainly takes to be called a Bible hero.
Well, we hope you enjoyed learning the story of Noah. And you know, the Bible tells us in Genesis 6, verse 9, that Noah was a just man. He was perfect in his generations, and he walked with God. So this made Noah different than everyone around him. As you saw in the story, everyone around him was evil and full of wickedness. And there were a lot of people in the world at this time. So how different do you think Noah was? And how different do you think he felt at that time?
So to see the ways that Noah is different, let's look at the parts of Noah's body and talk about some of the ways that Noah obeyed God. So you'll be able to follow along with us as we put Noah's body together. And as we go through this lesson, you'll just have these in your packet.
So you're going to pull out the pieces, and you'll see like all the pieces of his body, and you're going to see the gold brads, and you'll just push the brad in the dots on the paper. And behind each part of the body is going to be the verses that we're going to be talking about. So it's going to be real easy for you to follow along and do this as we teach it. And this is something that you can keep and remember the lesson.
So let's look at Noah's head first. One of the things we have to do with our head or our face is talk, right? So the Bible tells us that Noah was a preacher of righteousness while he built the ark, and that's found in 2 Peter 2:5. So what does it mean to be a preacher of righteousness? What do preachers do? Preachers talk about God and teach about God. So Noah was a preacher who spread God's message, and we forget that sometimes.
Sometimes preachers talk a lot, and so I'm sure Noah talked a lot. In Genesis 6:3, we see that Noah was preparing the ark for 100 to 120 years, which means he preached about God for a long time. I wonder if it's hard to preach about doing right when everyone around you is doing wrong and do it for 100 years. And we know that no one listened and obeyed except his family. Now, can you imagine how he felt?
In your packet, you'll also be given a small poster to help you remember some of the ways that we can obey God with our bodies. It's going to look just like this one. So the Bible tells us that we should not be arguing and complaining all the time. And this is one of the ways that we can obey God with our mouth. So how easy would it have been for Noah to have complained?
You know, you think about complaining, Ashley. Right now with COVID, I find myself complaining and whining. So that's not the way that we need to obey God with our mouth. What about the way you talk to your parents? Shouldn't you say please and thank you to your parents? In Ephesians 6:2, the Bible tells us that we are to honor our father and mother. And what about telling the truth? You know, the Bible tells us that there will be no liars in heaven. So we should always tell the truth. And just like Noah did, we have to use our mouth for good.
So the next part of Noah's body that we want to talk about are his arms and his hands. You know, Noah had to chop a lot of trees and move all that wood, and he didn't have trucks or trailers. He had to lift, hold, and attach the wood together without any tools. So if Noah worked this hard with his arms and hands to obey God, let's talk about some of the ways that we can obey God with our arms and hands.
You know, we can do good with our arms and hands. We can share and help those who need our help. We can draw cards or pictures for the sick or the shut-ins. We can do what our parents tell us to do. In Colossians 3:20 and Ephesians 6:1, the Bible tells us that if we want to be different, we've got to obey our parents.
So after building the ark with his arms and hands and preaching with his mouth, it was time for Noah to leave everything else behind and get onto the ark. The Bible tells us that Noah used his legs and feet to take himself, his family, and the animals onto the ark. It wouldn't have done Noah much good to do all of that work and then not be ready to go when it was time, and to leave some things behind too.
So sometimes we just have to go You know, like there was a Nike commercial that said, just do it. And sometimes that's what we have to do. We just have to go. Jesus tells us in Matthew chapter 28, verse 19, to go and teach. So we might have to move towards something or someone to obey God. But we might have to move away from something or someone to obey God. Even though you might not be old enough to do all of this, you can do some of this, and someday you will be old enough to go and teach others.
And no matter what age you are, you can always go away from sin. If someone is trying to get you to tell a lie, run away from them. If someone is trying to convince you to disobey your parents, run away from them. And if you are being tempted to do anything that you know is wrong, run away from it. So to obey God like Noah, we have to use our legs and our feet.
Lastly, this is Noah's torso. This is probably the most important part of Noah's body. And what do you think you would find in that part of the body? You find his heart. And this is the reason that he did everything else, because he had great faith in his heart. In Genesis 6, verse 9, we read that Noah walked with God. And that means that Noah knew God, and he knew that God was good, and he knew God could be trusted.
So in Mark 12:30 it says, love the Lord your God with all of your heart, with all of your soul, with all of your mind, and with all of your strength. But what came first? That would be the heart. So God gives us a lot of great reasons to have faith in him. He created us, he sent his son to save us, and he gave us the church.
So let's review. He used his head and his mouth. He used his hands and his arms. He used his legs and his feet. And he used his heart to obey God. And you know what? We can do the same thing.
And we have to use our entire bodies to obey God and show the world that no matter what, we're different and we follow him.
So we hope you enjoyed lesson 1. So get ready tomorrow night for lesson 2.
Thanks for joining.
Hi boys and girls, now we're going to do the craft part of our VBS. Each one of you should have received a craft bag that has crafts inside. Tonight we're going to talk about 2 of those. The first one is the story of Noah's Ark story wheel. Now it will come to you uncolored of course, but I have already put the 2 pieces together with the brad. I think you'll be able to color them with them in there, but if not, you can pop it out, color the pieces, and then put it back in, and then you'll have your story wheel that tells the story of Noah's Ark as you spin it. The second craft is the Trust in the Lord magnet kit. Now there are 3 different magnets, but you will only receive one of these 3 in your packet. This is what they will look like completed. 2 things I want to talk to you about when you do these that you might want to be careful of. Each one comes with what I'm going to call a base piece, and then you take the smaller stickers to decorate it with. As you pull the paper off the smaller stickers and you put them on, just make sure that that sticker is getting on part of the base. If there's any overhang, this sticky part is going to stick to whatever it touches, and it is pretty sticky. So just be sure that it gets actually on the base. And then as far as the magnet goes, the smooth side is the side that you want up. There is a part you'll see on the back side, there are little lines. That's the part when you peel the paper off, you're going to stick the part with the lines onto that. And then the smooth side will be facing up. And then when you're finished, of course, that's the part you'll see, and it will stick to the refrigerator, or it might be something, you know, a locker or something like that that you might want to display one of your magnets in. So that's 2 crafts that we have, and we'll have 2 more for tomorrow night.
Thank you for watching this video. We hope that you'll watch the next one as we learn lessons from the flood.